Welcome to the Low Level Boss podcast, where a group of nerds ramble on about video games, films, current events, controversies, and other random nerdy things. I'm your host, Charles, and today I have with me Michael from Couples War, Brandon from Bloodless Duck, and Jared from Dark Jack Wolf. How you guys doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah?
Nice,
You guys want to talk about video games and stuff? Or no?
Not really.
Was that what we were supposed to do today? Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you bring your political notes instead?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I wanted to start off was, one of the things I wanted to start off with was there's been some controversy, or not controversy, but criticisms about certain games like Dear Esther, Gone Home, and just recently Firewatch, where the game is more of what's called a walking simulator, where you're more just kind of like walking through an environment, you're picking up clues and notes about like the story, or there's some sort of narration, but there's not a whole lot of gameplay in a sense. So it's more of just like an interactive storytelling environment kind of thing, hence the name Walking Simulator. And I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on those games, and are those criticisms like correct, or are they just, they're kind of like missing the point of what these games are trying to do? Because I think a lot of these games, they get passed off as too pretentious, too artsy, which can kind of be like a fair point. But I feel like a lot of these pretentious games are done more out of love than anything. Because I think when you're pretentious, you think you make a really, horrible product, but you say, oh, this is the best thing in the world. I'm so great for doing this. Do you think those kind of criticisms are, fair, or are they a little bit too wrong, essentially?
Well, I think I haven't played all the ones, like I've heard of all three of the games. I think you mentioned. You said Gone Home. Which one? What was the other two?
The first one that I saw was Dear Esther. Then it was
Dear
Gone Home
Esther.
that I saw, and then the new one that came out is called Firewatch.
Firewatch. Yeah, my mom played Gone Home. I haven't picked that one up lately yet. I mean, I haven't actually tried playing it because mostly I'm more of a hardcore. I like the hardcore gameplay types, but that doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't be interested in playing something like that. I think a lot of a big thing is people want to like separate the medias, and I think soon we won't even be able to separate them. I think something like VR is gonna like bring people more together with things like this. But people want to say there's a difference between a game and a movie, or a game and a book or a story or whatever, because the game has to have certain elements to be a game.
Yeah.
Well, I think games are doing better and better about blurring that line. And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people here that just won't care. Won't care for this type of gameplay style. But there is definitely going to be a good balance, and I think Naughty Dog found it. I think Last of Us did really, really well. I remember days after it was released, the biggest criticism I heard was that it's a game on rails, and it's about basically watching a movie where you get to move your character from one scene to the next scene, basically,
Yeah.
And because the elements of the game that were gameplay weren't as, I don't know, maybe polished as other games, like gunplay in Last of Us is kind of boring, and it's kind of hard to hit things. It's nothing spectacular. It's nothing.
Well, wasn't that I would say that was kind of like the point. Like, it was meant to be a little bit hard or a little bit
right?
uneasy, so that way you had to use other things, like you had to distract with bottles, or you had to go stab them. Whereas using the gun, it's like that's your last resort. It's so hard to really do, because that's the last thing you should be doing. You should be keeping it for those really hairy situations. So
I have heard some valid criticism though, like that. It's one thing, when you're just not good at shooting, just in general, just because it's a new type of, I don't know, way to shoot or something. But over time, you can get better. But Last of Us kind of forces you to be bad based the way it is, opposed to just, oh, you don't know how to do it yet. Your aiming is worse and stuff. You actually get upgrades for better aiming later on because of the sway. Your gun will kind of sway side by side.
Yeah.
But people don't like that. People don't like the idea that you can get an upgrade to, I guess, look better. But that's not my point. I don't
Yeah.
really, I went a little bit of a
It's
tangent
one of
with that.
that's the thing about games is like there's so many elements to it and so many
Yeah.
moving pieces you can just sit there and trail off. But with in
Yeah.
regards to the game being too cinematic, I think Naughty
Yes.
Dog really did that well. Not just with Last of Us, but I didn't really play it, but Uncharted.
Yeah,
Anytime you
I really
watched
want to play that.
anytime you watch any part of that game, it was like a cool like or what action movies should be. It's like a really relatable character that's just kind of cocky and kind of like just makes cracks jokes and stuff. But it's also had like really solid gameplay that was kind of it built upon the whole just like Tomb Raider genre, and it made it really good. But it was also fun to watch too. I think
Actually, Tomb Raider is a really good example of something like that. But
yeah.
what was your point before I was gonna?
It was the whole these cinematic games. Like you're not really interacting with the environment too much, and there's no game mechanics where there's like shooting or getting points or collecting stuff. It's just going through the game essentially. Like Dear Esther, how it starts off is you just kind of like arrive on this island and you're just walking across, and you hear presumably your own character kind of talking, and he's narrating and he's talking about somebody named Esther, and he's just it's kind of like a love letter or just like it's a letter of regret to Esther, and it's talking about like a little bit of his past life, and as you're going through this island, he's kind of narrating on the stuff that's around you, but there's nothing you can really interact with the island. Basically, you just go from point A to point B going through pretty scenery. There's no enemies. There's no like, oh, jump up here to get this, pull this lever to open this up. You're just kind of walking, and I think that the criticisms of them are like, oh, this is not a game. And it's like, well, you can't really just sit there and define a game as one single thing. It's fine if video games branch out and do these other interesting things, because we can use those as like a case study and apply that to other games. Now, that being said, a game like Dear Esther, I would thought needed something more, because people can do these walking simulators, but create cool, like one that a lot of people might not like associate with that is Slenderman or Slender. It was the same thing. You're walking around and you just have to collect the notes. Like that's a little bit of gameplay collecting the notes, but the guy is following you, and all of a sudden that adds a little bit more gameplay. It's not a big mechanic. It's just this this little character following you around the map, and if he gets to you, you lose, and you actually have a goal other than just trying to get from point A to point B. But essentially that's the same thing. You're walking through this environment, picking up notes. You're not interacting with anything else. You're just picking up these notes, and there's something following you. Now,
there is kind of like you do kind of figure out after a while the route, so there is a little bit of an element there to
yeah, there's a mechanic
skill
to figure it out. Yeah,
you figure out where you're going and how to avoid him and everything. But overall, I see what you're saying. So like in those games, so, Dear Esther, there's really not like interaction. You just literally just kind of walking.
No, you just walk.
Because like Brandon mentioned that our mom played Gone Home.
Yeah.
And I remember there being a little bit more. There were interactions, and it reminded me when I watched her play. That reminds me of like the old like point and clicks, like Myst or King's Quest. But at least those were so full of puzzles and.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't remember, but I don't think Gone Home actually had puzzles. It was more like just you opened drawers and pulled things out,
Yeah, because that's the next step up from Dear Esther is you actually interacted more with the environment to figure out clues. I guess that could be considered gameplay because you're trying to figure out for your own self the story of what's going on, because it starts off as a mystery and you don't know what that game's about. Like when you first start it, you can easily think that it's some sort of horror game, like it's similar to Slender, like the second Slender, when they came out or re-released it, basically, because you just walk up to this home and nobody's there, and you're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on, and then you read notes, and then there's the narrations, and you kind of figure out that it's more of a coming-of-age story, and I guess that's the goal of the game, is to figure out the story, to get to the end of that storyline and figure out what happened to this character previously, because there's like twists and turns, so there is a story there. But essentially, all those games they're just story. They're focusing on the story rather than the gameplay. Because you can have a video game be really, really good with no story at all. It doesn't take story to make a good game. But if you have a really good story and not so great gameplay, does that work that way too? Is it better that if it was a short film, or are you getting something out of it for you being in the environment, discovering the things for yourself?
And I think questions like that are, like, and then I do hear it a decent amount, but I think they're silly to an extent, to be honest, because
Hmm.
the idea to split up, different kind of media as if, oh, it would work better and or better on this than this, whatever. And maybe it did, maybe it
Yeah.
does, maybe you're right, but that's the beauty of art. Don't want to be all like artsy, but
Go for
uh,
it.
I actually like a lyric from a song that say, "Don't it was don't trust a perfect person and don't trust a song that's perfect and don't trust a perfect person," because it's like it's the idea that you just art is what you want to make it out to be, and maybe
Yeah.
you don't like it, but that doesn't necessarily mean someone else wouldn't, and I think a lot of these games that are becoming more cinematic are even with the little gameplay or the handicapped gameplay,
Yeah.
it's there's something that's so cool to be able to live a movie, in my opinion. I think watching a
Yeah.
movie is one way of watching a movie, but being able to play through a movie is another maybe that will become a genre in itself. Maybe there'll be, something like
Well, there's
playable stories that it's opposed to adventure, because right now they're kind of being lumped into the adventure genre, and
yeah.
maybe there'll be just a new type of genre in games where it's more about watching, and I think that'll be a big thing when VR comes out. I think because you're just gonna be mostly watching anyway. You could
Yeah.
play an entire game
Well, they're
like
doing
that.
that with VR in movies essentially. They're gonna have like a 360 recording camera, and you're gonna put on the VR helmet, so that way when you're watching the movie, you turn around and you're in the environment and you're seeing what's going on. Now that might not work so well because a lot of how movies how they actually
Yeah,
work is they need the cuts. They need to have the
that's
director
a big part
directing
of
the
it. Yeah.
person. So I mean it can be done. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of cool 360 kind of movie that's like you're in the environment, but it has to play off it. It's like you can't do 360 just because you want to do it. It has to actually work into what you're trying to
Yes.
do.
Well,
Um,
It's. Oh, sorry. Go for it.
yeah,
but
go,
like
Jared.
you were saying with the cuts and everything. Well, I think it'll be mostly in the beginning. It's going to be a lot of like animation, like CGI animation kind of stuff, and it's like you'll be building a movie within a video game. What's the word?
Yeah, you're going to render it so that way
Yeah.
you don't have cuts.
Oh.
You can do the different takes, but you can seamlessly meld it together.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so
cool.
like a cut. Well, it's like what you were saying, Brandon, about like the blurring of the lines, because on one side you see what's the game you mentioned earlier by Naughty Dog?
Oh,
Um,
Last of Us.
Last of Us on the video game side, and you're like, well, is this more like a movie? And then on the other side, there's these new videos on Facebook I'm seeing. There's like a roller coaster one, and then there's one where there's an airplane taking off, and it's a video, but you use your mouse to look around in 360 degrees. Actually, even more than 360, you could look up and down.
yeah.
Um,
Actually, if you use it on your phone and you move your phone around, you don't have to click it and move it. You're actually
Oh,
in it, and
wow.
it gives like a one-to-one experience where you're actually there, and
so
it's
it's
really
like
cool.
on the other side, is that a video game? No, it's still a video. Just So I think we really will start seeing more of a blend of. I don't think video games and movies are going to be mutually exclusive in the too distant
Yeah.
or the not
Well,
too distant
a,
future.
a good example of that is the Walking Dead games. Those like you can sit there and watch somebody else play it right next to you, and they're fun to watch because they're a story unfolding out. But they have the gameplay element of you're choosing where the story is going to go, or who you're going to save, this person or this person. So that's actually I think a good in between of games and a TV show. Like I really love that because it was just sitting there watching a show, and I had my own input on the show basically on how I wanted it to move. There
It was
wasn't
pretty much a video game version of choose your own adventure.
yeah. And I think it's good when you meld because you get these cool like hybrids of like both. Like you can pull the cool elements of like a good like TV show or the good elements of a point and click adventure or just like choosing your own adventure, and you mash them together and you create this really cool, unique product. Yeah, I'm probably on the same page as you, Brandon. I disagree when people go, "Oh, that's not a game." It's like, well, that's not the point. It's trying out something new. Like in Dear Esther and Gone Home, I think the walking simulator route, rather than like a short film, really worked because they played off that. In Dear Esther, at the end, it's very subtle, so a lot of people could have missed it. At the end, your character, like spoiler alert for a game that came out years ago, you're walking through the island and you go up to the top of it's like a radio tower kind of thing, Like it's just like a little antenna that you climb up, and you jump off. And as you're falling, you hear a heartbeat monitor in a hospital, like going off, and you hear or you hear the heart like going and then slowly flatlining, and you hear the the beeping of the machine saying that somebody's dying. And somebody implied that you're not the guy, you're Esther, and as Esther, you're in a coma and you're slowly dying. But your lover, which is the guy that you thought you were, is telling you a story of an island. And as he's telling you the story, it's unfolding. You're walking through the island and you're seeing what he's saying. And then finally, when you die, you fall off of an antenna and you fall to the ground, and you slowly, like it goes to white, and then you pass on. And so it's like you put yourself in that perspective of you think you're this one guy, but you're actually Esther. And as Esther, you're going through an imaginary island in your head, and it gets very personal when you put yourself in that character. The same thing for Gone Home it's a coming of age story. I think most people might have implied that it was like a male, lead for the game. And as you're going through, you're finding out your family didn't like your girlfriend, and there's this like drama that happened, and so you had to leave them. But then at the very end, you find out the main character's a woman, and the reason why they didn't like the girlfriend. Is that right? I don't remember. I thought that's what I took from it. And the reason why they didn't like the girlfriend was because you're basically a lesbian couple, and then there was some controversy around that in your family. I don't know. Maybe I just pulled that from somewhere, but
I don't actually remember much from it. I just know I didn't really see much of it.
But yeah, the whole point of doing those walking simulators is the story has to have a reason of you being the character, basically. And I think when you flip those kind of like tropes, like what Gone Home would do, that's a perfect example of how a walking simulator could work, or telling a story that couldn't really be told in a short film, because you'll automatically see the character. Like you'll see the main character unless it's in a first-person view, and you'll see that she's a woman and she was dating another woman, and that created an issue in the family. Whereas this one, you kind of put yourself in the game, and since most games are male protagonists, you might assume that the character is male, and then it kind of flips the script on you almost. That no, you've actually been playing a female the whole time, which is not the norm. So I think for that kind of aspect, it could work.
I connect with men characters so much better.
Okay. Like, do you actually have you're able to sympathize with male characters more, just because it's you kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit easier?
I don't know. I think maybe if after the game I find out I was a female, but it's just like Civilization. When I play I'm Germany or something, I'm like, yeah, I'm a badass. I'm George Washington or something. I played one game as Elizabeth, and it was just kind of weird, a weird feeling knowing that I was playing Elizabeth. Because like movies and video games, I put myself in it. It's not like me just playing it. It's like
yeah,
so,
yeah. I tend to put myself in it, but yeah, I think a lot of people have an issue of if the character is too different from them, they can't sympathize with what's going on, because they can no longer put themselves in the shoes, because it's too much of a disconnect.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I remember back when Brandon, remember Blast.com. We would go and role play. It was like Dungeons and Dragons, but without the actual gaming aspect. It was literally just like writing a story with other people. And a lot of times people would play the opposite gender. I never quite understood that, because it's not something I personally can do. I don't know, because I feel like I'm not a woman. I don't know how to portray a woman. I don't know how to write as a character of how a woman would react to things. So I'm kind of the same when playing video games. I guess it's not as hard, with a video game, because it's just a character I'm playing. It doesn't actually change how I'm going to play the game based upon the gender. So that doesn't really change for me so much. It's more like when I'm writing a character or something.
But yeah, going on that, I think a lot of people, they'll choose female characters to kind of do something different. Like, they'll try to make their character as different from them as possible, so that way they can kind of, I guess, experiment, or maybe it's more exciting because they're just like, oh, how would this character act in this situation? It's like, normally I would say this, but if I want to play something different, I'll go this route. It's like, when I play games, I tend to, do me, or, make the character or model it after me first, and I'll do actions that I think I would do. And then when I go back, I'll be like, oh, maybe I'll play an evil character or something like that, just to kind of experiment, just to see what else the game has to offer, or just to role play and create like a cool little character with a new different storyline that's separate from me. I think a lot of people just get excitement of role-playing somebody else. And that might be where that kind of stems from. Or maybe they see themselves as more, feminine in reality, but they don't feel comfortable expressing it, so they'll try to, get that out in a video game.
I could totally see that. Yeah.
And so yeah, that's where I think walking simulators can really help, is just kind of putting yourself in somebody else's shoes rather than you're watching somebody else.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think as I get older and I play more games, I think I have an easier time playing female characters. But definitely when I was younger, it wasn't. Just going off of a few things you said before. What were you gonna say, dude?
This reminds me of another controversy, Depression Quest, because there was a lot of controversy over whether or not that was a video game. I argued this side. I tend a lot of the time to say it wasn't a video game. It was just a flash animation that you clicked through. But honestly, I don't know for sure or not. So
what? I remember you talking about this before, but what was the game about?
It's literally it's like a how do you explain it? It's just a simulation to show you what it's like to have depression.
Oh, okay. And so you have to click through different choices, and so it like limits your choices, so it makes you.
Honestly, I can't remember that much about it. I just remember that there was a lot of controversy over whether it was a game or just a flash animation that you click next on.
It was a Java game.
Oh, you just click next.
It was a Java game?
It was Java?
Oh, God.
So was RuneScape, but that's still a game.
That was Zoe Quinn's game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying you didn't have choices, you just click next, and that was the controversy?
I honestly actually don't personally know. I mean, I could look it up real quick.
Oh, okay.
That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, because I can understand where, like, in those kind of games, if you're just clicking next, it's just like, is this, really a game? A game implies some sort of interaction, or you're kind of choosing
or
a bit.
Ability to lose, I think, is a big part of what makes a game.
Yeah, but then, like, when you get into that, in Dear Esther, you can't lose.
Yeah, I don't think you can in Gone Home either.
And you can't lose in Stanley Parable, and yet those.
That was. Games. I'm sorry, that was the other one I was thinking of. Stanley Parable is like a good representation of what I thought walking simulators could really do with that kind of gameplay, essentially.
You can't lose, but you could get different endings.
Yes. Right. So that's true. That does create choice. I think a part of being a game is you have to have a choice, and even if it means you can't lose. You can make a decision that maybe you didn't like or whatever, but that's you still make a decision. I believe the things I've heard from like criticism of Depression Quest is that you don't really make choices. It's really more of, but I don't know if that's true. I still have to play it. I might as well try it sometime.
That kind of reminds me of this other one. It's not. I don't think anybody's ever claimed it was a video game, but it's an online comic. It's got a huge fan base. And it's really one of those just next things, because it's literally an online comic, but there are interactive elements every now and then. You can't really make any changes, change any choices, but there are interactive kind of elements every now and then. I can't remember what it's called. I know it's about a kid playing a video game, and the video game interacts with his actual life.
What?
Yeah, I can't. It's got a huge fan base.
Oh, is this a show you said?
No, it's an online comic.
That sounds really familiar.
Oh, is this the what's it called? Steven Universe or something? Is that a show?
No.
That was a show.
Oh, I don't know what nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, I wish I could think of the name of it.
Yeah. Well, if whoever's listening and wants to comment the name of it, they can do so on our YouTube channel, LowLevelBoss.com, where this will be hosted at. Little shameless plug there.
Plug.
Well, I'm plugging like what they're already going to be watching, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be on Reddit or something.
Yeah. What I would like more with the podcast, and if anybody, for the people that are listening, we're open to like criticism and comments. We want to have a community or a community to talk to. So if you know that what Jared's talking about, or if you disagree with us, we'd love to just sit there and have like a little conversation in like the comment section of YouTube. We do have our own Reddit thread. It's r/LowLevelBoss. So if you want to bring up a topic that you would like to either see in the future, or one that we brought up before and you thought maybe we were kind of like either misquoting something, or you thought we were wrong, or you want to agree with us and kind of supplement that with some other materials or websites, you can do so on any of those, and we'll try to like get back to you and have like a little conversation about it. So
Yeah, I probably can't speak for everyone, but I'm willing to bet that that we're all open to being, corrected or said, because if I'm wrong, I'd rather be told I'm wrong. I don't want to say the same wrong thing.
You don't want to sit there and say that same lie over and over again, thinking you're right.
I don't mind if people tell me I'm wrong. I want them to know that I'm not going to change my opinion ever.
I'm never wrong, so.
Well, you gotta have confidence in what you say, right?
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, just like Conan O'Brien, he's got a thing where it's like, oh, haha, I proved you wrong. No, I'm never wrong.
Never wrong.
You may not agree with what I say, but
I agree.
Thank you.
Man, there's just no game I want to buy. I know I keep saying that every week, but
I know. Well, it's funny because you were like, well, we need to prove to the gamer audience that games are great right now. God, there's nothing I'm gonna buy right now.
I know when they come out they are great, but now it's dead. So that kind of just disproves everything I said. Like I was really enjoying games over this Christmas break because I had Metal Gear and I had Fallout, and then now I'm not playing those as much anymore, and
You're just playing Rocket League.
Yeah, pretty much. Rocket League and editing this podcast.
I already own it, but I'm waiting for them to add the sharpshooter class to Killing Floor 2, and then I will really be playing that a lot more.
Yeah, I guess there's some old games I need to go back to.
Plugs.
What's that?
Homefront's pretty amazing, and Night Terrors looks awesome. Those are my plugs.
Oh, has Night Terrors come out? That came out, right?
No. Not yet.
Oh.
I'm
that's right. They were counting down to an
sponsored.
announcement. What was that?
I said I'm doing my best to get sponsored.
Give us free stuff.
Hey. I will advertise for free if they just give me stuff. The Homefront beta has done a lot more. Like, there's a ton of crafting that you can do for weapon-wise. And then I unlocked a bunch more gear, and so, like, the gear is not all cosmetic.
Okay.
It actually gives you some bonuses. So it's like 10% more mobility or something like that.
And you said this is paid content, or?
No, it's free just by doing missions. So you do missions and you get cash for how you do. And then you use the cash to get a random piece of gear or whatever you buy.
Oh, so is that one of those deals where you can get the cash in the game to unlock more loot or more items, but if you don't have the time to really do that, you can probably just buy the cash and use that?
I don't think you can do that either.
Well, do you think that's going to happen later on?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I mean, I haven't seen anything in the forums about it, and that game mode is co-op anyways. So it's not like you're going against each other to, this person has 90% concealment.
Well, not every time when they have like a system like that is it bad. It could actually be good, because if you want to play a game and you want to get to like the higher levels and stuff, but you don't, like, let's say you have like a full-time job and you just don't have time to play the game all the time to get to that level, you can just kick a few dollars that way and get stuff. But on the other end, if you have more time, like let's say somebody's going to school or they're just like looking for jobs right now, but they don't have the money, they can just put in the time in the game and then get the cash that way. So it's like you can go either route and still enjoy a big portion of the game, and you're not locked out. Sometimes it is bad because then it turns into a pay-to-win situation where like the more money you have, the more you're going to be better at the game. But when you do co-op like that can help kind of mitigate that, and you obviously get better, but you're not using that to take advantage of another player and make their experience worse just because you're better or you have more money.
I think the big thing with Homefront, though, to make it successful is it needs people to know the type of gameplay it's going to be.
Yeah.
As opposed to a run and gun Call of Duty kind of thing, or even some Battlefield. Because Battlefield, a lot of it's run and gun. You do have classes, but with Homefront, it's more of a you would like everybody to have a mic and be patient and coordinate.
Yeah. Well, because they really got to change up the whole FPS dynamics, because that's been like the genre that has dominated gaming for the most part over the last, I don't know, forever. Because you know, every game studio wanted to be that cool FPS that had online functions and everybody was playing and talking about and buying. So a lot of like games started doing like very similar mechanics to basically Call of Duty. I think Medal of Honor kind of fell off quick. And Battlefield came around to be a little bit more of a hardcore version almost, but still everybody took that Call of Duty kind of template and went with that, and so everything became very similar. Gears of War was like, a lot of people loved that because it changed it up. It was third person. It was a little bit more sluggish, so you had to kind of like plan out your attack. You couldn't just jump into an area and like, you know, just start twitch shooting everything. You actually had to, you know, think about it for a second. Now they really do have to add something new to it. So if they have moments where you're not really shooting, you're actually planning it out and you're doing that. Like we talked about, I think it was last week, you can make the game much better because there's just more. It's not that same old thing that we've been having for, I don't know, when did it, like, Call of Duty get really popular? Was it with Call of Duty 2? About
Call of Duty
before 2004?
Call of Duty started the big hype, but Medal of Honor, which was on the computer, was a first-person shooter.
Yeah, well, it was Medal of Honor, and then parts of the team of Medal of Honor broke off and founded Call of Duty, or made Call of Duty, right?
Oh, I don't know. I know, well, EA was Medal of Honor.
Yeah. I think that's how it worked, is like they didn't like how things were going, so they went and made Call of Duty, and then Call of Duty kind of killed Modern Warfare. Or not Modern Warfare, Medal of Honor. Because Medal of Honor didn't have a game for a while, or at least a very popular one, until the one that was just titled Medal of Honor, when they were trying to reboot it. But then, have they come out with a game since then?
Yes, it was like Medal of Honor Warfighter or something like that.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But, I mean, what was the other shooter that... It might have just been that, where...
Yeah, that's all I remember is, you know, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and Battlefield, really.
Yeah.
Because there have been other games that have come and gone, but they haven't made like a big franchise as Call of Duty. Call of Duty was putting one out every year. They had like 2 studios working at the same time, at least 2. Yeah.
Yeah, that Call of Duty basically became a sports game, a new one every year. Nothing really changed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, some things did, but you know, now it's your ghosts. Now it's this.
Wait, you were ghosts in the Ghost? I didn't know that's why they called it Ghosts. I honestly didn't know.
Boo!
I thought it was like, you know, thinking about our fallen brethren and their ghosts or some kind of shit or crap. I didn't know you were literally ghosts. Anytime like it's just for the multiplayer for like an hour before I get bored of it.
Yeah, and I got bored of like the traditional FPSs so long ago.
Well, then you'll like Homefront, man. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Portion of it.
By the way you explained it, I'm almost afraid it's gonna turn into a game called You ever heard of Combat Arms?
Yeah.
It was a free to play game, and it's just funny because Homefront you purchased it. I'm assuming, right? It's just regular.
I've got gameplay up if you want to see.
It was a Nexon game.
Yeah, and the reason being is you guys have been talking about the way you can get items, and they had the exact same way in Combat Arms. You could either use your in-game points, but it was a little worse. I don't know if in Combat Arms you only rented your weapon.
Well, I know because I used to play, and this is related. I used to play MapleStory a lot back in the day, and they were made by Nexon. So I think Combat Arms took a lot of the same business like mechanics, I guess you would call it, and put that to Combat Arms. Whereas in MapleStory, it was free to play. But if you wanted like cool cosmetic stuff or at one point experience boosts, you would have to pay real money, and so that's how they made their money. Let's see.
I think everything you could get with real money in Combat Arms, you can get it with the points. It was just that you can only. I think you could only rent certain weapons. You couldn't actually buy them, and I think that was a big problem with that.
Oh yeah, that was a MapleStory too. It's like when you bought an item, it would run out after a while. So you basically had to have a subscription to the item if you wanted to keep it.
Yeah, so, I guess my complaint isn't too big. It was more so that that some days I just wasn't in the mood. I had a job and I had free time to play, but I wasn't in the mood to either grind for the points to get the weapon I wanted or pay the money. I just wanted to jump into a game and start playing. And then when I noticed some people had the weapon that I wanted, they did way better against me sometimes.
So it was like obvious that you needed that weapon to really
in certain maps, like certain kinds of weapons will always dominate, it seemed like. And and the only thing I was trying to make a like a relevant point was that I'm afraid of something like you talked about like a 10% move speed boost or something. I feel like if you don't get some of those, like some of those little tiny, even if they're small, I feel like you can't be competitive, unless you of course grind, which makes it more like Hearthstone like. And see, Hearthstone I like and dislike. It's the same kind of thing. You can put the real money in right now and be competitive, and it doesn't necessarily give you an advantage. You still have to know how to play the fucking game. But there's certain cards that if you don't have, you're gonna have a really tough time climbing the ranks. And you go through a lot of just losings just so you get enough points to get the things you need. And that's the only thing I'm afraid of. But I'd have to play Homefront to see. I don't know.
Yeah. So the Homefront, I mean, it's got if you get in with a group, you get at least $1,000 for completing a mission. Or that's how it is currently. And then I think the most expensive crate is $2,000. But just for completing the mission, even if you didn't do anything, I think you just get the $1,000. And then you get more for like for kills, the medals you earn, things like that. You can get up to like $800 more or something like that.
Huh. Interesting.
And then you can't go and say, I want this. You say, I want to buy this crate. And then it says, like if you get a weapons attachment crate, you might get a weapon, or if you get the weapons and attachment crate, you'll get a random weapon that they have available and a random attachment for a gun. Okay. So it's like I was lucky enough to get a scope for my sniper rifle. So I run around as a sniper now. And so all my skill points I'm trying to use as sneaky and be able to mark for my team so they can go in and do a lot of stuff.
All right. Yeah, I do like that though. Right now though, I think the FPS is kind of giving me interested. I haven't done too much yet because it's still buggy as hell, but it's not even by a company. It's kind of. The Halo Online. Did I talk about this before? The Halo Online on our.
I can't remember if it was the one that got cut. I think we did talk about the Halo Online for a little bit.
Right, we lost a lot of footage, so there might be things that I've, not footage, but whatever, audio.
Yeah.
With Halo Online, it's basically I guess a portion of 343 Studios created the game to a certain extent. They're going to create this Halo Online game. I don't know exactly all the things. I haven't read everything, but apparently they got to a certain point, and it was pretty polished. And it was like they took a lot of the assets from the more recent Halo games and a lot of the gameplay from Halo 3, I think, and I guess Reach, and they kind of made this like all-in-one, like the best of all worlds Halo Online game. But I guess for some reason 343 Studios scrapped the idea. The source files got leaked, and just a couple of people on their own rebuilt the game with their own code and stuff like that to get it to run. And I've been playing it. Every time I play it with the new patch, it's better. There's still a few things I need to work on, but it's fun. It's like playing Halo on PC. It's like I remember playing Halo 1 back then, and I even played Halo 2 on the campaign, but Halo 1 on PC was one of my favorite games just because I like the Halo style. I think the original Halo is my favorite version. I think as they keep adding things, I think it gets a little more muddled, but there's certain things I do like. But I think with the idea that you can play, because all the new Halos came out, they're all now Xbox One, Xbox 360 exclusives. I have the 360, but I wouldn't buy an Xbox One just so I can play the newest Halo.
I'm wondering if that's why it was scrapped, because it was released in Russia, and I think they just wanted to release that in a an outside country just to kind of have I guess they probably didn't have that demographic. I don't know how well Xbox did in Russia. To me, I guess like the trope has always been like the angry Russian or German kid, playing FPSs on their computer. So I don't know if there was actually some truth to that, where like it's mostly like a PC dominated area. So maybe they were trying to like get into that market, and then they just realized like, hey, let's not do this, and they were probably never going to release it in the US because it would conflict with Xbox. And Halo is a very it's funded by Microsoft Studios. So they can't sit there and make a product that's going to compete with Xbox. Because for a lot of people, they would buy Xboxes to play the Halo games, at least starting off. Like that was a main title pushing those consoles.
Right.
Like that's one of the few exclusives left. Yeah. And so I think maybe they scrapped it because they thought it might cannibalize into the Xbox One. Because you're saying it was pretty polished and it's pretty good, and with a couple people, they're putting updates to kind of like fix some holes, right? And
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was 343 Studios or the people who are rebuilding it for the American audience and stuff like that. Because even the main cutscenes all in Russian. It's funny.
Yeah.
They're tweaking things like numbers. Like there's a difference between I can't remember the name of it, but a projectile through a projectile bullet, or I think a hit detection. I can't remember the exact thing, but either in a lot of games, I think with like Call of Duty, if your cursor's on the head and you shoot, there may be a delay, but there's no actual like projectile traveling to them. I believe in Call of Duty. I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know.
No,
if
you're
it's
right.
true.
It's an instant bullet almost. Like there's
Right.
there's nothing traveling. It's just like, okay, whatever's in the line of sight, it's gonna hit it. Like when I was
Right.
playing Modern Warfare 2, there's what are they called? The drone, the UAV, up in the air. I don't have to sit there and lead it or anything. I'm just point right at it and click, and it hits it. There's there's no arc, there's no bullet like physics or anything. It's just whatever you're clicking on, you're hitting.
and there's also obviously controversy over this, but I'll on my side, when I played Halo 1, it was projectile. And so when you have the pistol, when you first use the pistol in Halo 1, you're like, this is a pointless fucking weapon. You do so little damage, it takes a long time to hit. But once you understand how the game works, is that every bullet is a projectile, you understand that 90% of your shots that you've been hit have missed, and you just didn't even notice because because the game was a little early, and there wasn't a lot of feedback that you could, if you hit their shield, it's obvious you're hitting their shield, but sometimes you just can't tell that you're hitting them. But you realize that once you learn how to lead your shots, enemies go down in like 3 or 4 shots now, and that became another like what do you call it, a skill cap. Do you know how to lead your shots with both pistol and sniper rifle? I think that was a big part of what made Halo 1 so competitive.
Yeah, it's not just about how fast can you react. It's like, no, you actually have to think, put some thinking
Right.
into it, and like,
It
okay, I
takes
need to lead this
time
much.
to learn that.
Yeah.
Halo 2, I believe it was actually they changed to the where your cursor is, that you start clicking, and it made for it allowed more people to play the game and get better at it. I didn't particularly like it, but it was I think it was good for the time. But now with the new Halo line, I believe they're the people, I don't know if that's 343 Studios that people did it, but I believe it's a projectile now. So now when you're playing, you're actually there's skill involved with leading your shots and the like.
Yeah.
Or either that, or they're working with multiple things. I believe they have the option to do either, and they're going between. But I'd love to see another like projectile FPS game on PC.
I never thought of that as a trend before, but that kind of makes sense. As more games are coming out that have bullet drop and you have to track your targets and stuff, people are getting in their head of the idea of, oh, you need to do this for guns because that's how they realistically work. So you can actually have a game come out and have that kind of physics and people understand. Because beforehand, I don't think people really got or understood that it takes time for bullets to travel. You think they instantly hit their target, but there's something going through the air that needs to take time. So I think maybe the general consensus is that most people understand that now, and now you can put that in a game without them complaining too much about it.
Killing Floor 2 has taken a huge advantage of it, and I think it's beautiful the way they did it. I think the Tripwire has always done this because they're really into like realistic weaponry and things like that.
Well, they're gun nuts.
Yeah, they're gun nuts. There you go. And what's really cool with Killing Floor is that you have like a slow-mo time, and in the older games you just kind of slow down, you could shoot things more. But now you could literally shoot and watch your bullet fly through the air and like hits, blow open and
you also see the parts of the gun moving. You see the I can't think of all the words of the actual parts of the gun moving, and like the shell flying out, and the compartment
you got
opening,
the slide opening and ejecting the cartridges.
The slide
and stuff.
going. It does all of that. You see it all.
Yeah. It's kind of like when they do that in movies, because in movies they would have guns shooting and they're not reacting. The guns aren't moving or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just looked fake. When you actually have like a video game and you do that, it just gives a nice little detail to it, to where it makes sense.
Like the people that actually shoot guns in real life will play the game, and they'll actually feel like, wow, I really feel like there's a gun here that I'm actually shooting, not just I'm clicking a button and making things die. They actually feel like there's like weight to the gun, there's kickback to the gun. They actually, of course there's no actual feeling it, but there's an emotional attachment.
I think that affects a lot of people without them realizing, because in certain games when you get a certain gun, it's cool to shoot. And if you can have that for the guns, that means like the people attach themselves to like the gameplay a little bit more, because it's like it's a meaty gun and it shoots and it feels like you're doing damage rather than just like what you're saying, just killing the target. You're actually doing damage, and
Yeah.
that gives it like a sense of like a power almost, where like you feel like you're doing something. So yeah, that makes sense. Wow, we
yeah.
we started off with walking sims, and then we got into the physics of gunplay. I love
By
like
the way, I
rabbit trails.
remembered it. The comic I was trying to think of is Homestuck.
Oh yeah.
Homestuck.
I found out by I found it on a list of the most obnoxious fan bases.
Yeah, that's what it is. MS Paint Adventures. Oh, that's right. It is a comic, and then you just enter your name. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Zeus smell. Oh.
Oh, it does the same thing.
Oh, let me click your screen so it doesn't move over there.
Yeah, it's a really cool story. Like, I personally love the story. Just it's extremely long. If you could play it, like, let's say you played it for 24 hours straight, it would take you weeks to get through the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have choices, or is it
still
just?
making it.
Is it just the click to the next one?
Huh?
Do you have choices?
Do you have
or is it-
choices?
No, there's no actual choices, but there are. Sometimes there'll be a little interactive thing within the picture that you can do. Like, I think you can click objects, but you don't have to. No matter what, even if like there's, let's say there's something you could do in the picture to find objects. No matter what, you could always click next and just skip it. So
Yeah.
you never actually choose an ending or anything like that.
So what was the controversy if this was a game or not?
It just reminded me.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about Depression Quest.
Yeah.
Well,
'cause-
and to me, this is like the same idea. There's no actual, why is this not a game? I mean, why is this not a game if, like, let's say, Dear Sarah, was that what it was called?
Dear Esther.
Dear Esther, why is that a game and this isn't?
Well, I guess if you start drawing lines on this, it's like, yeah, this is supposed to be set up like it looks like a point-and-click adventure, but it's not a game, it's a comic, and they have the theme of video game with it.
Yeah.
Because you are just like, it is just a comic, and you're experiencing this thing, and you don't have choices, but they're trying to relate to whoever's, reading this comic, basically. I don't know, it's hard to, like, compare it to something. But this, I wouldn't consider this as a game. It's, gaming related, because this is a gamer, and maybe this is how he thinks of the world as his life is a point-and-click adventure.
That's true, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, Dear Esther, what exactly makes it a game where this isn't?
I guess the one definitive thing is you choose where you're walking around. You actually have control over your character, essentially. You're in first-person mode, but you're walking around.
I could see that. All
so
right.
I guess that would be the element that completely makes it, a game. Whereas if the character was just walking along and you had no control, it would just be a cinematic that you installed, basically, not a video. That's where, like, Zoe Quinn's one might be considered not a game. Yeah, you're installing it like you would a game, but if you're just clicking next, there's no game there.
Yeah.
So, like,
you're essentially reading a book or reading a book.
And that's totally fine. That doesn't invalidate it,
Right.
It's an experience. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a game. I feel like maybe we need to come up with new words for different kinds of experiences that we have on.
To me, that would be like,
reveal.
was there was like pictures, I'm assuming, or was it just text?
I actually don't even know. Go see if you can look it up.
I believe no. There's pictures and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know very much because of all the controversy, with the creator and stuff. I spent a long time more talking about the
other controversial aspects to it.
Yeah, not even that it's a game. The whole, the other ones about like journalism and getting her game. Wasn't her game greenlit for like
Is this
Steam?
I don't think this is the actual game, is it?
By Zoe Quinn. No, I think it's just because you still have to buy the game. Wait, restart the game? What?
So you can get it on Steam. I'm confused.
What? Restart the.
I went to depressionquest.com.
Oh, it
Scroll
says
down.
play for free,
Yeah, I can play
Oh.
for free.
and then pay what you want.
Yeah, or you feel free to pay PayPal
Best
Zoe
narrative,
Quinn.
Category winner and honorable mention.
So you begin, and okay, there's a picture and text.
What? What the hell? I guess this is the game. Oh, Java. Didn't you say JavaScript?
What?
Holy fucking shit, this is written in Java.
No, but there are choices though. I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's written in Java, so
I pick a choice.
Web based language, so you can definitely run it through her own damn website. You could also download it probably. Was that the one that was greenlit in Steam? I don't know if this is the one then. What was the controversy then? What was it? It was just that
this wasn't considered was this not considered a game? Was that the main thing, or was it just
the one before? I heard it was considered a game. I heard another controversy.
I know the other.
Oh yeah.
You do then.
Sorry.
All right, go. Well, we don't have to go political and discuss sides or anything. You can briefly just describe the details.
I think like a lot of people took her personal like choices, whether you agree with them or not, and they tried to apply that to her game, which was, I thought, completely unfair.
I agree with that.
I'm trying to dance around it.
Well, which is why I don't talk anytime I bring up that controversy, I never discuss like the quality for game, because that's not at all what
that doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's her own personal life. Like, yeah.
Well, the thing though is, I believe the controversy still had to do with
there
game. It had to do with how she, I guess. Well, here, Jared, you're the one who apparently knows something about it, so give us some information.
Okay, so what it was is she made this game, and it got greenlit on Steam, and there was a lot of people were wondering, does this look like there's lots and lots, like hundreds of games that go on Steam and are never greenlit, and this one's greenlit, and people are like, this doesn't look like it's up to par. And then you find out, you know what? I don't remember exactly, but she had a relationship with someone that had to do with getting it greenlit.
Yeah.
And she
that
also,
was, I think,
the people that gave her good reviews on the game, saying it was an amazing game, all those journalist places, she had relationships with somebody at all of them.
So there was always something to say, like, there was information, even though it's not 100% proven, but there was a lot of information to suggest that, both her getting it greenlit and her awards weren't through just, oh, hey, this is the best one. It was, through collusion or, money, corruption in some way. And it's, so there was some valid criticisms there, but that's not to the game itself.
And then there was the opposite side saying that she was being pushed out because she's a woman and women don't belong in video game programming. And so there was a lot of that. So they thought that there was sexism on the other side.
Right. So that's why it created this huge clusterfuck, and you can't really win on either side, because you'll find rational people on both sides. You'll find people who will say, oh yeah, we want more, integrity in journalism.
Integrity.
Yeah, there you go. More integrity in journalism and such. And then, the other side were saying, they had very real numbers about the amount of developers that are women, So, there's it's the argument falls is what's the cause of it, and I can't really bring anything on that, but so that's why I think it was such a problem, was because each side had something to say, and and then each side became more and more irate, more and more angry. They just wanted to, and eventually no one was listening to each other, and it was just everyone arguing with each other, or at least arguing with the people they agree with against the people they disagree with, so it became kind of circle jerky in each other's group, whatever. I try to distance myself from it now as much, just because I don't.
Yeah.
I was such a huge part of that with all the argument, and now I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it anymore. I don't care anymore.
I'm literally exhaused. Like, it doesn't
tiring. Affect my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep paying for the games I like.
Yeah.
I probably won't pick a game just so I can push a political agenda at this point. So I'm just gonna, if I like the game, I like the game. So if
honest,
you really,
I might even want to play this. I like the idea, to be honest. A lot of people didn't even like the idea, but that's why they were kind of being biased. But me, maybe it's not a game. I don't really care, to be honest, whether it's a game or not, but it's something I'm interested in looking at doing.
I would honestly take a hard stand and say this is a game. Whether it's good or not, it's still a game. There's, it's a text-based game, but it's still a game.
Yeah, I know, it is.
If I open up that old... Let me see, what is it called? Before I get it wrong. Is it called Zorg?
Are you talking about, like,
the
original...
no, that's...
the original text-based
I was thinking of the guy from... Yeah, it's nothing but text. Does that make it not a game?
Oh, yeah, I've played a bunch of these. Not Zork specifically, but I've played text-based games, and I'm an idiot, so I use strategy guides. I don't know if there's anybody else in the universe that uses strategy guides with text-based games.
Hit the letters with.
Type
No, they
this
get
in. Now
confusing.
type this in.
Yeah, because
Like Brandon. Oh what?
no, sorry, go.
I was gonna say, Brandon. Like, remember Monkey Island?
Oh yeah.
Think about that in text,
Yeah.
but you don't actually see anything. Like at least in Monkey Island, you see the items on the ground. You can go pick it up. There, you don't see anything. You have to inspect everything. You know.
Yeah. I think which creates an added level of difficulty because if you're in another adventure game, your sight is really important to helping you move along the game. But when and I think these text-based adventures work best for like people who have a really good internal imagination because then they can visually see what they're doing.
You know what? I played a game like that, but it was teaching me commands to use Linux better. It was like,
nice.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It was
No
like
way.
you're in a room and you want to see what's around you.
Oh, link that.
So-
I gotta send my friend that link because he's obsessed with Linux.
I gotta find that. It was cool. Let's see.
Oh, I like
Pick.
that. That's cute. That's cute. I love little things like that.
Rubber mat. Taken. What was under it?
Oh, well, we'll see if there's a look option or something, or observe around. Ooh, I only understand you as far as wanting to look.
That seemed a little mean, but I guess you could have worded that differently.
Type. What about look around?
In these old text-based games, they tend to be like the person, like kind of like you're supposed to be talking to. Sometimes are really rude, like.
Which is awesome. I think that adds some real
I love
character
that,
to
yeah.
the game. Yeah.
Like what's it called? The original what's it called? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The original game was a text-based game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's literally just the book. It's the text-based game is just you as Arthur going through the book. That's literally it.
Here we go. So I've got it on my
On your screen
I'll
share.
link it. Yeah, on my screen share.
Aha.
So it says, "Welcome. If you are new to the game, here are some tips. Look at your surroundings with the command LS. Move to a new location with the CD location."
This is so cool.
And then, so CD Western Forest. You've moved to the Western Forest. You enter and travel deep into the forest. Eventually, so see what's there.
Oh, I love it. Oh, this is something I would have created if I was in college. Now I'm mad that I didn't.
There's a way where you can read what the sign says. Yeah, God. But it's so cool.
Oh, so this just gives kind of like a context to how programming is like laid out and stuff?
No,
Well,
so
not
this
programming.
is Linux. So it's like you use less, and it actually tells you what's in a file or something like that.
Yeah.
So these are all Linux commands.
So, Charles, operating systems, right? So you know difference between Windows, Linux, Mac, and such. Before, the earliest computing was the only way you can give non-hardware inputs like a button or something was the first text prompt like display was
before
like this.
They came out with the graphical interfaces and stuff.
Right. So to move around the operating system, LS is to switch locations, C maybe to see program files or something,
Yeah.
Okay. And basically it's kind of, which is funny because for the most part, a lot of these commands I believe are the same for MS-DOS, LS, CD,
Yeah,
DIR,
they're very similar.
like type.
DIR.
Yeah, things like that.
Well, one thing, Charles, is non-programming people tend to not understand one thing is that it is actually something I just really understood not too long ago. Command line is not necessarily programming. It's just using your operating system.
It's because I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
Because I thought you were talking about programming, like a game that taught you how to program while playing it.
Now that would okay. You just gave me a new idea.
There you go. But yeah, this is to teach you how to go through a computer without a graphical interface. But it's giving you a story. It's helping you learn how to do it while having fun. So it's giving you a scenario, so that way you kind of test out new ideas, and so you go, oh, that's how I actually dig down in a file or like in a folder system without using an interface. Because my teacher, he wanted us just to kind of understand where technology came from. He's like, I'm going to show you how to navigate your computers using, the command prompt. And so he had everybody open it up, full screen it, so you had no idea you couldn't see your desktop or anything like that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to teach you these, and this is how we used to have to go through computers. And he was telling us how to when you type in a certain command, it shows a list of all your available folders, and it's like you have to go through that folder, you have to find this file, or you have to go back using a certain command. I think it was like, I don't know if it was like the // or / goes back.
Yeah, /
like
CD, and then that's to go back. But
yeah, and so he was showing us that, but this shows you how to do that and give you a story, so it's entertaining while you're learning, which is like,
this would actually be pretty good for a class.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is one of the good educational games that have been made.
I wish this is what I wish command prompts were what I was taught in grade school. Because in my computer class in grade school, since I was raised with a computer, I knew everything, and it drove me insane. She's like, no, don't do that, don't do that. I didn't tell you to do that. I'm like, yeah, but I know how. And whenever we'd go in and we would work in word processors, she's like, oh, don't worry about the underlined lines. I'm like, yeah, but I know how to fix it. Just let me fix it. She's like, no, we don't know how to do that yet. I haven't taught you yet. I'm like, but I know how to do it.
Holding you back just so you're on the same page as everybody else. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, I'll minimize that.
Maybe we'll have a God, I am terrible with words today.
Linux?
A spin-off of this podcast where Brandon and some other friends talk about programming or something.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Cool. Maybe
I'm down for
programming.
I won't have anything to say in it, but maybe I'll make Brandon host of it, and then.
I actually would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I know
we'll have
a
to
few
plan something
people
out.
would be great for it.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm gonna end it here. I think we've gone on a long time, and I got some stuff I need to start prepping for. But so if you've made it all the way to the end, I just want to thank you guys for sticking around. I know we do have some reoccurring viewers at this point, and there's people fully watching our content, not just
really
random stuff. Yeah,
that's awesome to hear. Actually,
it's just a few, but I gotta thank those people for sticking around.
Yeah.
So if you like this video, actually click the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more content, because we put one of these out once a week, and then like Brandon said, we're gonna start doing more types of videos. So we might not necessarily do a podcast one, but it'll be a companion piece. Like if we want to talk more in depth about something, or if we just want to have a gameplay video or something like that, we're going to put those up too. But our main staple right now is we're going to do a podcast a week. So if you want to keep up to date with what we're talking about, because it's very current events kind of stuff, you should just subscribe to the Low Level Boss YouTube channel. You can go to LowLevelBoss.com and just subscribe to our channel, and then you can keep up to date with what we're talking about.
Yeah, and if you want to suggest subjects or topics, whatever, you can drop in the comment section. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And I was your host today. My name is Charles, and I mostly run the Low Level Boss YouTube channel. So if you're talking to somebody, you're probably talking to me. And today I had with me Michael from Couples War, where he has his own little channel where him and his fiance, soon-to-be wife, play games together, and they kind of just have a competition with each other. A lot of the time. And then I'm also joined by Brandon, who is Bloodless Duck. You do a lot of our Twitch channel kind of stuff. And then Dark Jack Wolf, which is Jared. And Jared is on pretty much every Low Level Boss thing. So if you're not talking to me, you're probably talking to him. So
that's your big thing though, right, Jared? Is you do more of the video editing on some of the things we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a lot of the Let's Plays that we had, which I would like to get back to it. We just might restructure it a different way.
That would be great.
But I'm also going to be writing when we start doing shorts
and stuff, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, you would be the lead writer on a lot of stuff. So just want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.